What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I got a very special guest with me, Mr. Clifton Blaine, the owner of Printless Window. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good, doing good. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing all right, man. I was talking with you a minute ago. Whenever I think about window cleaning, you're the first person that comes to my mind. And your story is very captivating to me. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Is that cool?
That's all right with me.
All right, awesome. First, I want to ask you, how did you get into window cleaning?
So it's a funny story. I worked in factories and I did all these complicated jobs, and I didn't ever really like any of the jobs that I did. And one thing that I would do is I would clean stuff, kind of as like a way to get out of work. That is something that I would do. I started applying to jobs, and I applied for a window cleaning job. And at the time, I kind of thought it was a joke. I thought window cleaning was something you just saw in movies. I didn't ever think it was really, I didn't ever think it was like actually something that me myself could do as a job and pay my bills. I didn't think that was a possibility, but I applied for it because I knew that I could clean, and that's what the job was requesting of me. So, um, well, I interviewed for the job. I got the job. I started working, and I really liked it. It was nice. I was outside, something that I'd never had done before. I'd never been outside for a job before. I'd always been cooped up in a building. Uh, so I got to be outside. I got to see all these beautiful houses, beautiful landscape, uh, just and got to meet some amazing people. So I knew that I probably wasn't ever going to go to a factory again. And after I did it for a while, I realized that I was gonna, no matter what, I was gonna not work for anyone else. I was gonna start working for myself. So that's kind of how the story goes.
In the beginning stages, when you initially started window cleaning, so you worked for somebody else?
Yes, yes. I worked for someone. Uh, the man I worked for, he had 20 years experience window cleaning. Uh, and I'm really grateful for that. I don't think I'd be as good a window cleaner as I am now if it weren't for having a mentor. I think that's really big, a really big step if you are going to go into window cleaning. It is a very skill heavy job. You have to learn skills that, and you have to learn how to use muscle movements that you don't use in daily life. I A lot of the movements that I use window cleaning, I never use for anything else. Uh, so that's one thing to know. If you are considering window cleaning as a career path, start by working for a company that's willing to train you, and you will go much further than you would without.
Right. Okay. So you start working for a guy who has a window cleaning business. When did you develop this passion into the realization that this is something that you could potentially do for yourself?
At first, uh, I just wanted to learn the skill, and that was the most important thing to me, was learning how to clean windows well, uh, and to the point where I never had any customer complaints. And my boss was always happy with the numbers. That was my main goal, was getting to that point. And once I got to that point, I kind of plateaued. I reached where the limit of working for someone, there wasn't very much growth left. And that's, once I got to that point, that's when I started to think about the next level. What do I got to do next in order to further what I've got going on? And so it was about a year and a half into working for someone that I felt comfortable enough to even start doing jobs on the side, for myself.
Okay. Okay. So you work for this guy for about a year and a half. You gain the appropriate experience. So you didn't just go off rogue. You work under a mentor, you gain the experience, you learn the trade, and then you jump off and you start your own business by yourself, and you've been doing professional window cleaning solo operation as a business owner for how long now?
Let's see, it's been about 6 months. 6
6 months.
months. So 6 months I've been solo. For the first 2 months, I was contracting for my boss 3 to 4 days out of the week. So I basically was still employed just as a contractor. But
Which is okay. That's for experience.
yeah, but once things kind of slowed down during the cold months, I really felt the sting of being a solo guy. That was probably the scariest. Like I've been unemployed before, but I haven't been unemployed with a mortgage until now. And
yeah, you haven't been
so
unemployed with a mortgage. You haven't been
yeah,
unemployed with a
with a
wife and
child,
with a
yeah,
kid.
yeah. So that kind of lit a fire under me that a lot of guys, I'm not sure they'd ever get that fire. And I'd say I've been going strong. I got some lead flow. I would say that I probably cooled off a little. I probably need a lot of new fire to get to the next level in what I've got going on. But at the moment, I'm doing good. I'm paying my bills, and I'm not afraid. You know what I mean?
Sure. No, I understand. That's good. You jump off into this new adventure, into running your own business. You're obviously successful. I know that you have a drive. You and I sat down. We actually got formally acquainted a few months ago. We sat down and had dinner, and that was one thing that really that's what stood out to me whenever I was having a conversation with you. Really, is your drive to produce results, not for the simple fact of just to get money, but it's your obligation and responsibility to do so as a provider for your house, and as a husband and as a father. And that's an admirable quality and characteristic that I've seen in you, is your drive to do what you do. And I believe that your passion, as a result of you being passionate about what you do, allows you to do that drive. Let me ask you this. What's the average startup cost for someone that's wanting to get into the business of window cleaning?
Startup costs, I would say it's very necessary to get a ladder that can reach second story. That's one of the key elements to winning jobs. Most people are willing to clean their own windows on first story, even if they don't do very well. They're not likely to hire someone. I do a lot of first story cleans, but that's something that is like a necessity. You're going to need a ladder that can reach second story windows fairly soon into cleaning windows, or you're going to miss a lot of opportunities. And that's the biggest expense, and that's around $250.
Really?
Depending on the brand. Some brands are really high. Some brands are like $300. Some are really cheap. You can get some cheap $100, $200, but I got a fairly heavy duty ladder for $250. So that's the most expensive equipment besides a vehicle to lug it around. But I've seen some guys who are real creative with a bicycle. So
okay, you're saying that an individual can get into the trade for a low cost.
Yes. With under $500, that's all the equipment that you'll need. Under $500, you can get in.
Wow, 500. Which is fairly acceptable for somebody that's wanting to get started doing their own thing. I'm not really familiar with it. Tell me about customer acquisition. Is it a lot of repeat business? Are people set up on a frequent schedule, or?
In Europe, a lot of people do monthly window cleaning. That's in America. That's more of like very high-end luxury, which is kind of rare depending on where you are located. Currently, I do 2 customers monthly that are not storefronts.
Okay. But you have storefronts as well that you do on a reoccurring basis.
Yeah, storefronts are not something that I do often. I only do a few storefronts. I have grown a little storefront business, but most customers, let's see, it's like probably 50% of customers are going to be a one and done. So you're going to clean their windows one time, and that's the last time you're ever going to see them, depending on how good you are. But most customers, they only ever get their windows clean to sell their home, and that's most customers. And then there's the other 50%, which is broken up into about 25% are every 6 months to once a year. And then the other 25% is broken down even further into every 4 months, every 3 months, and then the rare 1%, which is the monthly customer.
Really? Okay. Okay. So there is a form of reoccurring business that is attainable. That's interesting. That is very interesting. And for a $500 investment, most guys can get started relatively cheap. And not everybody, of course, is going to be a pro at it and jump off necessarily like maybe you have. But for somebody just looking to get started, $500 seems to be sufficient enough investment to get going. Let me ask you this also, lead generation. How do you get customers? Because we've talked on the phone several times. Usually whenever I'm talking with you, you're telling me about how you're booked up. I mean, last time we talked on the phone, you were booked up 3 weeks out. I mean,
Yeah.
how does your lead generation come?
When I first started on my own, the way that I got leads was I cold called businesses. I cold called realtors, mainly realtors, because they see a lot of houses. And I got most of those leads either from signs that I would see in front of people's homes. I would find those signs, but a good way was there's a LinkedIn strategy where you can go on LinkedIn and you can search for your specific customer or specific role, whatever job title they have.
Mm-hmm.
And you can search for within specific cities or states or whatever. And so that's how I started getting my leads. And I would make a lot of cold calls. And when I went like a whole month without doing any work, that's what I was trying to do during that time, was call realtors and get my name out there. And if you do that, if you block off and make like, say, 100 calls in one day, you're going to get a job or two. But if and the more calls you make, the better you'll be at talking to people. So that's how I got jobs at first. After that, I tried a whole bunch of like marketing, paying people to market for me. That is not very good. Don't waste your time trying to market your business if you don't even have a customer base yet. You want to build a customer base and then you want to market, because once you have customers who are already familiar with you, and then you start marketing, then people are going to be like, oh, hey, I seen those guys at so and so's house. I'm going to call them up because it's a recognizable brand. Yep. Until then, you want to get fed leads. So what I do is I do Angie's List, which kind of has a bad rep, but it's not something that you can just jump in and be good at. I was for sure not good at Angie's Leads at the beginning. I spent some money on there that I wasn't going to get back, but I've got it going good now. I stay about 2 weeks booked out now. About a week solid is just Angie's customers, and about a week is referrals and repeat business. So I'm staying pretty busy.
Right. And even those customers that you didn't convert when you first got started doing all the cold calls, you're still getting your brand name out there. So even if you didn't convert them, I mean, word goes around. I mean, I've seen those realtors talking about you and about your service and the type of quality of work that you offer. I've seen their comments and they all speak very highly of you. So if there's one thing that you could go back and tell yourself in the very beginning, everything knowing what you know now, as you continue to learn, you continue to grow and develop, what would you tell yourself going back when you first started?
I think I would have told myself, don't stress about it, because stress ain't gonna help you. If if you need to do something and you know you need to do it, just do it. I think that's what I would have told myself. If I could have gone back and started over, I wouldn't have tried all that dang marketing. I wouldn't have spent $500 on Yelp. I wouldn't have spent $500 on this and that and the other. I would have just cold called, and I would have jumped on Angie's leads as soon as I could have. I know there's a couple other lead generators. I've never tried them. I'm probably just going to stick with Angie's leads until I don't need it and no more. That's probably what I'm going to do.
That's great.
Another thing I would have told myself is probably keep it a secret from your boss for longer, because I probably could have had an easier transition, but I think the way that it worked out, I think it worked out the way it was supposed to. So
yeah. Okay. Well, I really appreciate it, man. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave your email down in the video description. That way, if anybody is interested in getting into the business of window cleaning or anything like that, then I'm going to leave your email down in the video description. That way they can reach out to you for any comments or questions. And I really appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to hearing more about your success in the future.
right on.